the Financial Survival Network, helping you to survive and thrive in the new economy. Get your free financial survival toolkit and find out where to buy gold and silver safely at great prices. Sign up at financialsurvivalnetwork.com. This is the Financial Survival Network.
1490 WGCH. This is Kerry Lutz, and you're listening to the Financial Survival Network, which is brought to you by Miles Franklin. They've been in business selling gold since 1990, and I'm a customer because when you buy, they ship. To find out more, go to milesfranklin.com or call them at 800-822-8080 and get a free quote. You're listening to the Financial Survival Network. We all like to wonder if we put $10,000 here on such and such date, as in buying $10,000 worth of Apple stock 20 years ago, where we'd be today. Well, Ranting Andy has an interesting take on that. He believes that silver is going to be the king of all investments for the foreseeable future. Andy, welcome back.
Thanks for having me, as always.
Always a pleasure. You know that. So what about the silver here? I mean, we've got a lot of things to talk about, but silver as the investment, haven't we been promised that for a long time already?
Well, actually, my first thought of that is, I think it was James Turk who at some point last year, in trying to help market the cause, because so many people like to fight the reality, he said, look, here's a chart of where Apple was at point A, and the bear markets it went through to get to point B, which is, $500 a share or whatever it is. Because sometimes it's the only way to get through to people is to look at one of the few things that, gets through the prism of the mainstream media. And of course, there's no real comparison of Apple stock and silver, other than over time, they both had long bull markets. And in fact, silver has gone up probably nearly as much as Apple has, given that it started from $3 or $4 an ounce, and now it's, a 10 bagger. But I believe for 10 years now that gold and silver will outperform all assets for the foreseeable future, because I believe that the paper currencies will collapse. And what we've seen in time is they have gone up. Silver has gone up nearly tenfold, and the money printing has been vastly more now than it was then. So I think the sky's the limit. And because of the industrial use, which has really wiped out almost all of the remaining supply on Earth, there's a reason why the USGS said silver will be the first extinct element on the periodic table. So my belief is that the gold-silver ratio must fall to at least its historic average of 15-1, and probably will go a lot lower over time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, because it's been suppressed for decades now, silver, right? I mean, for so many years, it's really absurd.
Yeah, and actually it wasn't until the 70s, just after we went off the gold standard, that the gold silver ratio started to surge. I mean, that's 15-1, stayed around forever, but it wasn't until the government needed to start manipulating that ratio went to ridiculous levels. There's that's when the consumption really started, was back then. So, and obviously the answer is that because silver is so short in supply, they have to put that much more effort into holding it down. And that's why it's been a supply deficit for, I think, over 20 years. I have records that go back to the 80s, so it's even before that. And of course, it's the only asset, the only commodity trading on the COMEX that's been in the commercials have had a net short position for, again, at least 20 years. So the point is, it's that delicate of a balance, and we saw it in April of 2011 when it went to $50 and we ran out of supply. We saw it in September of 2008 when it went down, the paper price, and we ran out of supply, and to a lesser extent last fall when the government hit it. So it's the linchpin of the system, because the supply is so limited, and eventually it's just going to blow up in their faces, and you're going to see that gold-silver ratio plummet.
Talk about the tail wagging the dog, huh?
That you couldn't have a better description. It is the tail, but it's a very powerful tail indeed.
Yeah, well, it has some real value. And look, governments don't stockpile silver. They used to. The U.S. had a strategic stockpile of silver. They did away with that 20 years ago, probably when they first started manipulating this market in earnest. And now we're looking, there's no reserves of it around, and they have to get it from existing supply, from what's being mined, scrapped, and from investment demand, I guess, that sacrifices or surrenders their silver for the fiat dollars. And how many people are really doing that?
Yeah, the piece that I wrote Friday, which is, I think, well-timed, called Why Silver Will Outperform All Assets, it features an article from Ted Butler, who puts into perspective that the peak silver inventory in the world was 70 years ago or so. It was during World War II. And that's when they realized that silver was a valuable industrial metal on top of its monetary purposes. And so the U.S. distorted, actually basically all central banks distorted their silver over the past 5 or 6 decades. A lot of it simply because they needed it. It's not like the gold where, we'll sell it to try to, make the dollar look strong. A lot of that was simply used up because it has so many uses. And now there's nothing left. Everyone knows that there's no more than 1 billion ounces of silver left above ground that's investable. And that's, worth less than $30 billion. I mean, that can be, most of it's not for sale, of course, but the fact is, it can be, we can go to shortage in seconds. And that's what people just don't realize when they stare at that stupid paper price waiting for a pullback. You're not going to be able to buy silver. You were not able to do it in late 2008. You're not able to do it in early 2011 and to a lesser extent late last year. And when the big one hits, you will never be able to buy it again.
Yeah, people just don't understand that. The level of ignorance that is prevalent when it comes to these metals is just staggering. You show people an ounce of silver or an ounce of gold, they don't have a clue what it's worth. And, they say, well, it says it's worth $1. I guess it's worth $1. They don't even know what $1 is because,
well, they've heard the term silver dollar, but they wouldn't even know what that is because they don't make them anymore. And pretty soon they won't make any coins anymore. People won't even know if you're a 15-year-old kid, 10 years from now, you may not even know what a penny or nickel is, let alone, what it looks like. And, you talk about people don't know. And obviously it's basically a 40-year propaganda scheme to make people think that dollars are money. But I saw this morning. I mean, I highlight Yahoo Finance all the time because they are just the worst of the worst. They will, they will put lipstick on any pig. And they like the second article today says, is gold about to take off? And I thought maybe it's a pun. No, that's what they're putting in because the buzz is starting to spread that the games that are being played, the propaganda games, are no longer reflecting reality. And, everyone knows that the S is about to hit the fan, no matter how much they announce these stupid money printing schemes. So pretty soon it'll become mainstream.
Yeah, I'm thinking you're right there. And we've been talking about it, for months. Some really bad news on the horizon, but those bad stories are coming out more and more. And we were talking before about the tobacco moment and what that is, and that we're reaching it as far as the financial system goes, right?
Yeah, and again, I wrote a piece about that, and the actual tobacco moment term comes from when the tobacco industry realized they can no longer avoid paying the tens of hundreds of billions of fines because they couldn't pretend anymore that it wasn't harmful. But the bigger way of looking at it is that it's the moment when the system realizes that it's a cancer, that cigarettes kill, that tobacco kills, and that the society is finally going to react toward it in a proactive way. And obviously, like you said, it's hitting the financial system now in a big way. And it's only a matter of, we've seen in the last 2 months, we saw the Spanish bank bailout. And after that, the stocks and bonds got crushed. And even after the big European bailout, which people can't even remember was only 6 weeks ago, the same thing happened. So they were forced to go to their big guns. Draghi himself on Thursday saying, yeah, we'll do whatever it takes and blah, blah, blah. And now it's up to the Fed. The Fed's meeting on Wednesday. And look, the Fed has not said one hawkish thing in the past 10 years. But this time around, they're going to be put in a corner where they can't even say nothing. If they say nothing and say the same old, we're going to continue to be vigilant and extend Operation Twist, the markets are going to get hit hard, I believe. I think they have to say something this time around, something more concrete that supports growth in front of A, an election, and B, collapsing economic data around the world. And if they don't, well, then it's their funeral.
Yeah, and you think if they don't announce that, then the markets just go into a waterfall, huh?
Well, I mean, look, I you know how I am. The markets are more manipulated than ever. I don't ever say anything like the markets are going to crash tomorrow or anything. I'm saying that it's time that if the Fed does not say something, the perception about what's going on in the markets and the world is going to change, because there is no way that they could possibly get away with pretending even that the economy doesn't need help of some sorts, even though, of course, their help is only going to make it worse.
Yeah, so this is the time where they're going to have to step up and open up the spigot full speed ahead.
Yeah, and I also highlighted a piece, the NIA, when it used to be a noble organization, put out a piece in, I think it was November of 2010, called "The Day the Dollar Died," and everyone should Google it and watch it. It's just fantastic, maybe 7-minute piece.
I saw that.
Right, and and in it they're depicting that this tobacco moment occurs in December of 2012 when the Fed is about to announce QE4. And I remember reading it the first time and going, there is no way that it's going to last 2 years from November 10, the system. And sure enough, here we are in August 2012. Almost up to that point, and it looks like he may have got the timing dead on right.
Yeah, well, we always talk about the timing, that it's difficult to call anything, although some people who are into the cycles seem to be pretty darn good at it. But to call it consistently is really a difficult task that not many can really do.
Because we're not talking about fundamentals anymore. We're talking about an unprecedented situation where money printing is what the world is depending on, not just one country. So there's really no way of knowing exactly how long it takes before the world as a whole says enough already. And obviously, there's cracks in the dam everywhere. I mean, pretty much half of the world stock markets are down 50% from their highs or more. And there's only a couple that are still not, like the U.S. and England, who print their own money. And, it's only a matter of time, and it's not going to be years down the line.
Yeah, and I'm waiting to see what's going to happen with China. I mean, obviously, they've been running from the dollar, buying up resource companies all over the world. They are the resource player. But is it too little, too late to save them as well?
Well, they have 1.5 billion people. I mean, they can't, and their economy is falling apart, too. It's tied to the dollar. It was tied to the whole the carry trade, the recycling of dollars and into manufacturing, which is dying right now. And also the government, you know how much their spending package was in 2008? It was $650 billion. And most of that went into construction, which is down. I just read, I think it's down 20% already in China across the board. So they have a lot more mouths to feed. I don't care how many reserves they have. And they're going to go through bloody hell before all is over. And again, remember, their currency is pegged to the dollar. Uh-huh. So if they leave it pegged, it dies. If they unpeg it, you'll have another set of chaos, which will be equally worse, equally bad.
Yeah. Yep. It's print and pray. That's the only thing they can do.
That's right. That's right. It's money printing, market manipulation, and propaganda. And again, the market manipulation is not working much anymore because most of the markets have gotten crushed. And the propaganda, trying to tell people that the economy's better, they don't even say that anymore. Everyone knows that's a lie. You don't even hear them talking about green shoots or any of that garbage.
Prosperity's just around the corner. Happy days are here again. Those are all songs from the Depression,
Right.
And it's amazing how history repeats itself. So milesfranklin.com to find out more about Ranting Andy's writings, as well as other info that's on the site. And Andy, we will talk to you next week. Hopefully we'll connect with Bill Halter again, do a little mini roundtable.
Be happy to do it. Thanks, Gary.
All right. You be well.